everyone, and welcome to the Next Decision podcast. My name is Jarie Bolander, and I am here with the one and only Farzad Rashidi, co-founder of Respona. Farzad, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jarie.
We have known each other for a while. We've literally never met in person, which is, I think, is the way the world works nowadays. At some point, we probably will. But, well, you're in DC, I'm in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
But what's really cool about Respona, and I remember we talked on my old podcast, Entrepreneur Ethos, about this idea of outreach and how to do it. And was it Visme? Visme, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Where you guys literally built Respona because what you did at Visme, which again is kind of cool, kind of like how AWS came about because Amazon had infrastructure. So what I find just really cool about your journey and what I really can't wait to talk with you about is Visme crushed it. Co-founder of Respona, build what you built at Visme, and then, which is a platform, cool, do it for you, or, like SaaS, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then come full circle back to, now we'll just do it for you, which is crazy. So Farzad, why don't you kind of take me through your journey a little bit?
Yeah.
Start off with a brief intro and let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd be more than happy to. So yeah, maybe just for folks who haven't heard of those companies, happy to give a little bit of background. So I started my career in marketing working at a company called Visme, which is not Disney with a V. And it's a presentation and online asset creator software. So you can come in and create any sort of visual assets for the business. And it started around the same time as Canva. Canva is a more well-known company. They ended up go the venture route. And then Visme, which was built by Paymon, my current business partner at the time, my boss, was bootstrapped. So essentially we were self-funding it. And when I came across Visme's product, I actually wanted to use it to make a presentation. When I looked up on LinkedIn, I was like, oh, it's a cool company, cool product. Never heard of it. I was in college at the time, so a baby. And I came across Paymon, and I was like, another Persian dude. So I cold emailed them, and I was like, hey, came across a product and loved it. And I'm a marketing student and would love to help out, if you guys have any work for me. And no expectations. I just want to be involved in a cool project. And he ended up replying and said that, hey, we're actually a bunch of engineers, haven't done much with marketing, and would love to, get some help. So I ended up working for Visme. So the problem with Visme was kind of tricky because it was a product that was priced at like $20 a month or something like that at the time. Yeah. So it wasn't an expensive enough product that you hire a sales force and go door to door and start selling, even though it was B2B technically. And so, and you wouldn't want to just sell it to individuals as like it was a business tool. And so we had this conundrum because we also had issues with paid advertising to work because we were, having to pay per click and there was a bidding system and usually there's diminishing returns when it comes to paid ads. And once you hit a certain ROI, essentially your CAC starts rising faster than your LTV. So essentially you end up having squeezing those return on investment when it comes to your ads. So we basically were like, okay, well, how do we scale it? And ended up at the time, content marketing was very new. It was Rand Fishkin from Moz back in the day, Whiteboard Fridays and stuff like that. And so I feel old talking about it now.
You feel old. The other day I was like Jason Cohen, remember, from A Smart Bear and of WP Engine fame. I realized I've known of him or have talked with him for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Blogging.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm like,
that's
damn, I'm old.
Nah. Well, you most certainly don't look at Jarie.
Well, thank you.
But anyhow, where I was going with that is that we essentially started writing some blog posts and through trial and error, we found that, okay, if you write content that people are looking for and create landing pages targeting specific keywords, then you can start showing up where people who are looking for your service are going to come and organically find you. So if someone's looking for presentation software and they're Googling it, it's a much cheaper, I would say, CAC, a customer acquisition cost, to show up where they're looking for you versus you having to hunt them down with ads. And so we ended up writing a bunch of content pieces, and it was crickets. It's like, okay, we're obviously not doing something right because we invested all this time and resources creating these content pieces. Ended up finding out that the way Google, and at the time, well, obviously still a prominent search player, the way they prioritize websites in the search results is by their credibility and authority. And the way that's measured is in terms of how other websites in your space are talking about you. So the more authoritative sources are talking about your brand and usually linking back to you, that is a vote of popularity in eyes of these search engines, and therefore it establishes you as a more credible resource and increases the likelihood you end up in search results. We're like, great, let's go get all these backlinks. Ends up being a much more difficult initiative than we initially thought, because anybody can open a Google Doc and start writing content, create pages on their website, but not convincing other people to mention you and talk about you is a whole nother game. So long story short, what we did was to kind of create a process where we would write a piece of content and then try to find relevant websites that we could go reach out to and figure out a way to incentivize them. And then what happened was that process was done manually and it was working, but we were software people. So we're like, hey, let's build some software to kind of help us make that process more efficient. And so we built it. It was sort of a ugly looking duct tape internal tool. And we decided to release it as a standalone product. We're like, hey, let's put this out there and see if anybody else is, because it started working really, really well for Visme. Visme ended up getting hundreds of thousands of monthly organic visitors, something that we would have to pay Google over $1 million a month
or more.
Yeah, exactly. And so we ended up getting that for free. So Visme started doing really well, and they got to 8 figures in annual recurring revenue. And they actually recently exited PE last year. So Paymon did well. Content marketing worked.
Yay!
Yeah. But in terms of Respona, what we were kind of grappling with, we were like, let's see if it could help other people too, because there were obviously other companies in our space wanting to get their website off the ground. And we ended up basically releasing it as a standalone tool, and people started paying for it. We're like, hey, this is great. So we built a little team around it, and then the rest is history. And then obviously all the way up until, so that was back in 2019 when we started releasing the first version of the product. And then we had a whole nother pivot back in 2025, which we can dive deeper into. But that's kind of the backstory. I think it's a little bit longer than you were hoping for, but
no. I mean, the reason why I know you is because of a cold email,
right?
And so, like, you're kind of the GOAT when it comes to cold email. I mean, you got a job, and because it was a really good cold email, by the way.
Thank you.
And that's hard to. Was back then very hard to do. People, just the way they would do it was just silly, right? But I've used Respona over the years for lots of different things, even at my old job for lots of clients. Using it, going to use it right now for something that my fiance is doing. And I mean, it's backlinks, getting on podcasts, guests, basically getting other people, quote unquote, to say you're cool is how you build credibility. And credibility is now the coin of the realm, even with, and this is why I want to talk with you about the switch from SEO, content marketing, to experience engine optimization and answer engine blah, 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 whatever buzzword bingo us knucklehead marketers come up with. You had to pivot there too. And I'm curious, talk about that transition, because I find it fascinating that you've come it's like that must have been disruptive.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the most, I would say, of the most important changes in a way in the history of our companies, that the top of funnel experience changed for a lot of people. So what would happen at the time is that you would write a bunch of blog posts, create landing pages. That was your top of funnel. And then you wanted to build some backlinks to it. People would come on your website, sign up for your product. Simple workflow. Now, what happened with the launch of ChatGPT and even Google as sticking AI overviews at the top of all the search results, and what happened was that it gave off-page optimizations. All the stuff that we're talking about now is called off-page SEO. It gave it a comeback because it was sort of looked down upon for years in the SEO industry. A lot of people saying, oh, links aren't as important anymore, yada, yada, yada. Now, what happened with, say, when you look up something, hey, what are some of the best places or what are some of the best marketing agencies in Toronto? And what these models do now is that they actually go and look on the web and read a bunch of articles and then dive deeper, read reviews, comparison guides. And they're all articles published on other people's websites. So it's no longer your website that's controlling the narrative. So that's no longer enough for you to show up in the top, I would say, the 10 blue links on Google. You now have to have your brand show up in places that these models are pulling their answers from. And the process of obtaining them is very much similar to what we were doing before with traditional link building. But now you also have to focus not only just getting a website to mention you, but knowing what that website needs to say in order to show up.
Right. You need the content. Yeah.
Exactly.
Content now too.
And that added a whole nother layer of complexity to the whole process of earning these, what we call listicles, comparison guides, product reviews on other people's websites. So not only you had to find the right websites that could potentially get cited in LLM answers, you now had to help them write a content piece that would mention you, so that would end up in the citations. And obviously, they say rising tides lifts all or something like that.
Lifts all boats, yeah.
It lifts all boats, exactly. And so having that done, meaning you're still getting these backlinks pointing to your website, so it still helps with the traditional SEO where you're getting your own landing pages show up in the top 10 search results and the 10 blue links in Google. But now with the added benefit of you're positioning yourself so you end up also showing up in the LLMs, because that's usually where a lot of research begins. It's people going on ChatGPT, hey, what are some of the best tools I can use for link building? And then they come up with a list of 3 or 4 tools. And then they Google maybe 1 or 2 of them and then sign up for one. So we're like, okay, link building is very difficult. Now it became even more difficult. And
more valuable.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because it's a competitive advantage, because if something's easy to do, then anybody would do it and it would lose its effectiveness. So the whole point is that it's tough to do. And that's why it's a ranking factor for over 20 plus years. So we had a customer reach out to us and they were basically nickel and diming us over like our subscription plans. They were like, I think we had a plan that was like $800 a month, billed annually. It was like 10 grand a year. And they were like, okay, we only have like $500 a month. And it's like, can you guys give us a discount? So I looked at him and I was like, wait a minute. So you guys are an agency. You sell this as a service to your clients. And you're a pretty decent sized agency. You have a few hundred employees. Like, must be raking in millions of dollars through this initiative. Like, why is it that it's such a big deal for you guys to have to nickel and dime over a few $100s of subscription? And then he said something that changed the trajectory of our company. And he was like, well, let's do it this way. We pay you X amount per backlink that we built using your software. So if we are successful, we pay you thousands of dollars a month. And if we're not, we pay you a few $100s a month. I was like, interesting. So the other issue is that now we're at the mercy of the effectiveness of your team using our platform, right? So that wouldn't make much sense to us because, if you don't use our software, it's worthless. So I was like, what if we just do it for you? I was like, what if we just build these citations for you? We've been in this space for long enough to know exactly how it's done. We've been doing it for ourselves. We can do it for you. He was like, done. Guess how much that deal size was?
In terms of like
Dollar value.
per year
Per month.
or per month? I don't know. $5,000.
10.
10?
10 grand a month.
It's just like 5x your revenue.
Now, same client, a year in, this was March of 2025. Same client this year, how much are they spending with us on a monthly basis?
$25K.
65.
65?
65 grand a month.
Damn, I'm in the wrong business.
So why? Because same person that's telling me, hey, $800 a month subscription is too expensive. Let's try to make it 500. So I was like, okay. The issue here is risk. Why? Because when you purchase a tool, there's no guarantee that you'll get the result you want out of it. Plus, that's usually the most insignificant part of your expenses. The most expensive thing you got to do is first hire someone, give them healthcare and training to first use the software. And you might even be able to outsource that to other countries, etc., and hire someone and get that cheaper. But you still have to provide incentives to these publishers. That's still going to cost a ton of money. And well, we found that, okay, if we can just provide a full service, meaning you come in and you tell us, hey, this is my business, this is my website, I want to rank for X, and we just do the whole thing for you, then your willingness to invest 10, 20, 100x the amount that we would charge.
Yeah, it's the results. Yeah, your results
Exactly.
is a service, basically.
And
interesting.
Yeah, so we're like, this is cool, but one hit wonder might be a one-off thing. So let's try to talk to some of our other customers. Let's go talk to some of the other ones that are on our plan, that are do-it-yourself plan. 60% of them say yes.
Wow.
And so almost was a no-brainer. Why? Because what was happening is individual companies doing this type of work are at a disadvantage because they don't have the volume. So when you go talk to a publisher, when you're saying, hey, can I please get a mention here? It rarely is worth their time to respond to you. Or even if they do, they would charge you an exorbitant amount, or you have to give them an incentive that's worthwhile for them to take the time to do that. But what happened with that initial big customer, we had now some critical mass, some economics scale, so that we can now reach out to a publisher and say, hey, we want to work with you on 100 articles a month. Let's figure out a deal that makes sense for both sides. And that started driving down those costs significantly. And we managed to start putting together a pricing structure that made it a no-brainer for companies to use us. So even at a marketing agency level with hundreds of employees that needs hundreds or if not thousands of these mentions a month, still doesn't make sense to do it in-house because we started giving volume discounts. So depending on your volume, we started giving discounts that go all the way up to 60%. So even if you're spending millions of dollars on these things, we can get it cheaper if you calculate your cost of labor plus publisher fees plus software. Ends up being significantly less, maybe less than half.
Or, and probably higher quality.
And definitely higher quality.
Because as you know, like if that's your whole job is to do this, you're going to get really, really good at it.
Exactly. And we get people that come to us, they're like, hey, do you also do content services, stuff like that? We're like, no, we only do one thing. We're like,
this is all we do.
Yeah, we just sell burgers. Really good burgers.
You want fries with that? That's over there.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not a custom shop. No, we just produce the best burger you've ever had. We just do burgers. And so, so that ended up taking off. Like the revenue from our done for you service exceeded our software revenue that we built up over 6 years prior to that within 3 months.
Within 3
months. And that was not something that was advertised. It was just me just talking about it like I'm talking about it with you on customer calls.
Wow.
We were like, I feel like the biggest idiot in the world. Like I felt like the most stupid
How do you
founder,
say that,
CEO.
man? Like you had to get all that like experience before to.
Yeah, but 6 years? Come on.
Well, I've spent longer than that on something with zero revenue. So who's the idiot now? I think this. What's interesting is like this is how some of this stuff works, right? Like it doesn't hit till it hits,
Right.
and it very well. So here's the thing that why I think you're clearly not an idiot, but I like the pivot point. What made that service? My guess is what made that service accelerate is this shift to AI and answers in search, right? So the coin of the realm was no longer SEO organic. I mean, ads are like, I don't know, not effective anymore or as much as they could because people aren't even clicking on stuff, right? They're looking at these things. But and again, what's kind of fascinating is the link back, the off-site or off-page SEO, the things that, the redheaded bastard stepchild of SEO people, oh, you guys, when that, was always valuable in my mind because, look, it is credibility.
Right.
But when AI switched that to like, that is the only bout of credibility, obvious.
Right.
I mean, if you're good at it, you're just going to crush it. So,
Right.
wow. Because I was interviewing someone else who went from services to software platform because they're like, oh, we need to scale this. And the people can't, like our bespoke thing is too expensive. So they figured it out, built software to make it less expensive, but not even less expensive, more scalable was the real problem.
Right.
And now they're like going the SaaS thing from the bespoke thing, and you're from the SaaS thing going to like do it for you. Well, just give us here. How much money do you need?
Yeah. So that's one thing that was important to me is that I didn't want to build an agency.
Yes. You don't want to build an agency. That's a very good point.
Right.
Don't do it.
And so, when we started discussing the pivot, we didn't plan on building a marketing agency where we'd like a full service agency that would go and, build websites, write content, build backlinks. We were like, no, we don't do any of that. We just build backlinks. And that's a process that if you have a large publisher network, and that's somewhat our moat, where we have relationships with these publishers that we built over the course of the past decade, across thousands and thousands of them, then you can utilize these relationships and to create a workflow and human assisted software in a way that you could, automate, but still have humans in the loop for quality assurance. So I would argue that we kind of pivoted from software to software, and humans in the loop are a necessary part in a way to ensure quality. Actually, we just came across this article. We went live March of this, like literally 3 weeks ago. So this is not something I've read before, but it's published by Sequoia, which is one of the biggest VC firms in the world. And the title of the article is "Services: The New Software," and the intro paragraph goes, "The next trillion-dollar company will be a software company masquerading as a services firm." And it resonated because that was exactly what I had in mind. We are a software company masquerading as a services firm, meaning that deliverable is an outcome. It's not the tool set, but the tools are used on the back end to power that outcome. And so that means as AI gets better, as our publisher network increases, we can improve the quality of our outcomes and drive down prices. But the experience from the customer remains the same, where they're like, hey, I want to mention to my website on a listicle, and you press a button, boop, and then you get a backlink within a couple of weeks. So that experience is something that vastly changed the course of our business, just because these are guaranteed results, and sort of having a pay-per result model where you're not locked into a subscription, they all sort of contributed to that fast growth. I think I posted on LinkedIn that we're hiring some new positions, and I was like, we 4x'd our revenue in the past 12 months, and and I actually went and looked because I was eyeballing it, and then I went and looked our accounting bookkeeping platform we use, and we actually 5x. So I was like, "Ha!"
Sandbagging. You're sandbagging, Farzad.
I know,
as
right?
usual. Come on.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, that's great."
Yeah.
It
No,
was
that's
like
awesome.
a 10-second moment that I was happy about that, and then
Yeah.
you
Then you're
go
like,
back to your
okay,
stress.
20. How you gonna? Your partner's like, how you gonna 20x?
Right.
But this whole idea of outcome based, like this is what I want, as opposed to having to buy a tool and learn it. I mean, lately I've been thinking about this, and I would love your thoughts on this. Lately, I'm thinking software is disposable. I and I actually think you just, and I mean, this is maybe is, I got to think through this argument and maybe write an article about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I think you just write the software you need to write and pull all these platforms together and just do your thing.
Right.
I think you just constantly evolve it. There's no, it's like agile on steroids, but for the individual, right? Like you, so yeah, I mean, I really do think that, and I do think this outcome is important because people want to pay for outcomes. They don't care that your tool is blah blah blah. They're like, I need backlinks. I need, because there's a value to it, and therefore they pay for the value. So it is a, and you just proved this. It's a value based offer as
Right.
opposed to just like it's pays this much. So
Yeah.
wow, I mean, yeah, because I mean we're thinking about how to do this at Decision Council, right? Because obviously we're an agency,
Mm-hmm.
so I half jokingly don't start an agency, but the agency model's changing too, like pretty drastically. I don't, yeah, I mean, it's like people just are gonna, I like the idea where a software company masquerading as a services company, agencies are gonna have to be service companies that have software that build these workflows. I mean, I cannot see you can, and it's not gonna be, in my opinion, just buying the platforms. Like you have to have some orchestration layer, something that makes your workflow better, something that has the deliverable that gets it done, has an outcome. And I think people are going to start being like, I pay for outcomes. I
Right.
don't pay for software.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, 80% of our revenue right now comes from marketing agencies. So they have a
Wow.
full service agency that go to a company. They're like, hey, we optimize your website, we build new pages, we do keyword research, we write content, and we build backlinks. We give you these citations and AI results. And for that backlink layer to use us as on the back end as a provider, and they completely white label it, which is fair, and they add their markup and resell to the clients, which is also fair because we're essentially a fulfillment center. The agency still adds value to the clients by setting up the strategy. Okay, knowing what type of site to get, what does the content need to say. So these are the stuff that the strategist, the agency, does, and so it adds a really nice new stream of revenue as an add-on or expansion of existing clients. So that's something that we see more and more of, is that the agencies are now also starting to delegate some of this to companies like that. So you could kind of plug and play.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to almost have to, like, when I look at like what we do, you know, we're moving more into revenue orchestration. You know, we're a strategy house, pretty hardcore strategy message. You know, like we're the guys that figured this stuff out that you just mentioned. Not a ton on the execution side, but we're building towards that, because what we found is like that people can't execute the strategy very well. No offense to them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to offend them. But adding that orchestration activation layer.
Yeah.
And I think the one part of the reason why in the past we haven't done it, it's labor intensive. It's a lot of tools and a lot of, I mean, there's just a lot, like it's a big ask.
Mm-hmm.
But now with AI and stuff like what you're doing and like pay for results, that model shifted. I'm now, the analogy I like to use is I'm now the chef and I'm just buying the ingredients and I'm making the meal. And the meal is the chef, since I know what I'm doing, you pay more, but like the guy that has the carrots or the beef or whatever, you know, silly analogy, we just get the best ingredients and go build, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, like we see it like last month we built 2,500 citations across multiple niches and verticals. Like the one company we just that placed order today is they're a pest control company in New York. It's like a local business that controls pests, and we have the largest energy company in the United Kingdom, also a customer. So we kind of see across the spectrum. But then what we notice is like, okay, the pest control guy is great at controlling pests. They're not marketers, they just want to be going to their clients and then get rid of the insects.
They want the phone to ring and be like, I'll be there at 3:30.
Exactly. And they're willing to pay for that. They're willing to essentially pay per phone call lead. And so I think marketing agents is going to exactly turn into that chef that you mentioned, where they're going to deliver outcome and charge per outcome. But on the back end, they're utilizing a bunch of ingredient providers to collect the best of the best together, knowing what to combine, where to shop, and deliver that outcome. So I think that's definitely where I see the future going, and more businesses are now going to be, more concerned about dollar in, dollar out. Like, okay.
Oh yeah, especially now. No. So
go ahead.
So yeah, no. So what's the next decision you have to make over there at Respona? What are you worried about? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I had a wake-up call recently. Actually, it's funny. Last week, I went to a friend's house, and she's a dentist, and completely opposite of what I do. She's actually helping people, and I'm sitting in my pajamas, pressing buttons on the computer. But and she was like, "Hey, Farzad, I started a new startup. You're in tech. Do you want to look at my product?" And I was like, I thought she was joking, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Yeah, come." So she showed me. She built an app. And again, this is the most non-technical person ever. Like a dentist, been in dental school her whole life, like been practicing that. She built an app that it's like for couples that, like, if you have a fight with your couple or something, like you can come in, you can sign up, and then it's monetized. There's a Stripe checkout, and then there's like prompts, and you answer questions, and it's got a voice to text transcriber, and then you share that link with your partner, and you can connect accounts together. It's a very, in my opinion, complicated app. It's not a simple thing that you just slap together. And it was very well done. It was very well designed. It looked like like back in the day, it would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to put this together, in months and months of work. And I asked her, I was like, "How did you do this?" Like, I was so impressed. I couldn't believe my eyes. She goes, "Claude Code." I was like, yeah. I was like, okay. So here's the thing. No offense to her. She's a very smart person, obviously, a doctor, and, I'm illiterate here, but I'm just saying, who's not in my industry, and she's creating software that's better than what our guys can do. And I was like, okay, well, I think what's happening here is the bar to creation is dropping to zero. And now the challenge is going to be distribution. So there's no question the pieces of software that you create contains value. And it's not necessarily to say that you're going to just vibe code your own relationship app. You most likely would want to use one that already exists. But how would you come across it? And that's where the real fight's going to go. Back in the day, SaaS with cloud, anybody that could even figure out how to put an application on a web server could make money, because there was no.
Remember predictable revenue?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's not working anymore, buddy.
And so, so the bar to creation of software and tools is dropping to zero. And I think it's actually quite exciting, because it's now giving power to people that have an idea to, see their ideas come to fruition. But one thing I told her, I was like, you don't have a startup. You have an app. It will become a startup when you figure out your distribution. So that's the real challenge, is with a lot of companies now, as more and more tools and noise is going to enter the market. The ones that are going to be winners are the ones that are best at distribution, that are best at marketing. And so, yes, it's going to be interesting how it comes. And so, we're also now looking at ourselves, and we're like, okay, we have some moats. publisher relationships, yada yada yada. But what are we doing when it comes to our distribution? And so yeah, so that's an interesting thing to think about, and decisions need to be made.
Yeah, Claude Code's magic.
Yeah, exactly.
So is Cursor. I mean, hey, I think products democratized or goes to zero and the best story wins, which has always been the case. So in my mind, it's all about brand and getting people to think about you. I mean, even performance marketing with ads and stuff. Okay, great. Yeah, that sometimes works, and you need that strategy, but it's more about what you're doing. Building long-term value by building a brand that people trust.
Mhm.
And that's marketing.
Right.
That's what we're supposed to do. The two jobs we have, brand building and demand gen, or get me leads.
Right.
All sales wants is the dumb lead. Give me a lead, Okay, sure. Close the lead, but we'll give you the lead. But yeah, okay, cool. Well, hey, Farzad, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it. Always a pleasure to talk with you. And that's it for this episode. Thanks everyone for listening and watching if you're on YouTube. If you are able, please leave a rating and review. It means a lot to us. My name is Jarie Bolander, and that's it for now.